film's centered around three key battles.
Zhang Yimou, our director, was very interested in having them quite different.
The first one is when Will and Tovar first get caught by the Nameless Order. They bear witness to the Tao Te's attack.
The Nameless Order is the ultimate fighting force, and they dedicate their lives to protecting the world and to being this last bastion of opposition.
And they all have specific jobs, and they execute them perfectly. Just from a military standpoint, William and Tovar are extremely impressed.
In the beginning, it shows how efficient the Nameless Order are at preparing the defenses. They have all these elaborate fighting techniques or weapon systems that they all bring to the table.
In the first battle, for instance, we have large multi-fire crossbow machines.
And these crane women are just extraordinary. They dive off the top of the wall and do these incredible acrobatic flips in order to drive these extra long lances down towards the Tao Te as they're attacking.
Staging the battles with the imaginary Tao Te's has had its difficulties. These things are 6 foot wide, 10 foot long, and about 6 foot high. What you find happens is that people start fighting people. Visual Effects have been kind enough to make a proxy-sized Tao Te for us to try and work around so that we get an idea of how far we should be away from each other.
One more.
In the first battle, William and Tovar find themselves without weapons as the Tao Te attack. So they have to get very inventive. They're desperately picking up whatever they can. Broken spears, shields from dead soldiers. And then there's a bit of a turn of the tide where Will sees a crossbow lying on the ground. The only problem is he hasn't used a crossbow before and doesn't really know how this repeating crossbow thing works. So instead of trying to learn it, he just goes straight for the bow. He smashes the crossbow apart and removes the bow from it. That's really the point where him and Tovar start to get an advantage, and it seems like they might get through it.
我们的3场打，我自己认为都是非常好看的。原先的剧本，我看到的是全部是在长城上打完的。我是觉得，因为你在长城打3场就有点老，叫招式用老了，你就打不动了。所以我们在这个故事中就饕餮破了1次场。
In the second battle, which is set in the fog, Zhang Yimou really wanted to have this mysterious feel about the second battle. We built these very large, what we call harpoon guns.
One of the strategies from strategist Wang is the harpoon ballista used with a sedative to try and capture a Tao Te.
They're trying to capture a Tao Te, which doesn't quite go according to plan, so Will and Tovar have to go down and save the day. So then we show how cunning they are and how brave.
I'm about to dive down a chain to kick the living you-know-what out of some Tao Te. My hair clips? Yeah, there you go. It's not cool to do it with hair clips.
And then when William and Tovar work together, it's almost like they've been in so many conflicts throughout the years that they actually don't even need to talk to each other. They're so in tune with each other's movements, and they've had each other's back for so many years now that there's very little conversation when they actually need to go to work.
We were trying to kind of figure out how to signal one another, but we also wanted it to not look too prepared. So we were just like, let's wing it. And he did a sniff. And I was like, that's my cue. And we separated and we threw the axes. And then we came back together and we were like, that timing was perfect. And he was like, I gave you a sniff. And I was like, yes, you did. We are such badasses.
We'll see when the CGI arrows get put in. We'll see how badass I am.
There are many things that can be secreted within something that looks very simple. In the case of the wall, there are blades that spin out from within it. There are also secret doors at the base that allow for our troops to emerge quickly and then run back into the wall and have the wall seal itself over.
A lot of the grandness of the shots and the spectacle, we're dealing with green screen. It's always a challenge, but there's plenty there to root you and give you the scope and the scale of the world you're in.
这样的设计就是要有一定的出处去完成它。举例来说，就是那个射的箭上绑一个火药筒、火药箭。我们都知道中国过去有这种火药箭。好，射的时候要点，对吧？所以你还要设计这个点火绳儿，便携式点火绳儿。那点火绳儿你就可以追溯到中国过去的檀香、一炷香。这火药武器本身里边就有很多这样的历史知识。
What happened? What happened?
The third battle is the coup de grace of the actual film, where everybody's fighting in unison and everyone's gotten over their past differences of East meets West and all fighting styles are different, that everybody amalgamates into one and becomes a team.
In the third battle, William decides to join the fight to save the world from the Tao Te, which leads him then to becoming one of the Nameless Order. Black powder becomes central to the third battle, not only as a weapon to be used to destroy the Tao Te, but also as a fuel they use to transport them.
The balloons, in fact, are driven by black powder exploding over hot flames and obviously making hot air to float the balloons, and that's how our whole army travels. And Lin Mei and some of our other soldiers have explosive arrows and explosive grenades and spears with explosive weapons on them.
制片方给我安排了非常多而且很密集的一些课程，大概早上会有3-4个小时，体能，然后武术技巧，一些武术套路，运用不同的道具。这个收获是在我拍摄当中，我一下就感受到，哇，原来一切都是值得的。
我一开始我就提出来，我说我觉得你们应该破一次长城，突破一次长城，打到皇宫去。哎，他们就觉得啊，这个想法太好了，这个太有意思了，这个在结尾是完全变了。然后我们就要杀回马枪，回去救汴梁。他一直饕餮大的汴梁，在皇宫里头大开杀戒。那好，那我们就要突破回去救，这就在视觉上就多了很多不一样的感觉。
When the Tao Te bridge the wall and go to the Imperial Palace, strategist Wang also then becomes a soldier himself and gears up with ignition devices, grenades, the lot, and goes for a last chance effort. Strategy being that once they've captured a Tao Te, they attach grenades to it and send it back to the Queen, delivering the explosives right to the center of the Tao Te.
We have all the tools to work with, but also a lot will be sweetened in the special effects and visual effects later.
你是演的时候要想象，我们这个戏比我们以前拍的戏更需要想象力。
We're at the top of the pagoda and we run out of exploding arrows, and we have one insane idea that just might work. She has the idea, I'm just kind of along for the ride. You didn't feel that? You like launched yourself. It's really good.